Welcome to Sabor Astrology, a podcast for the soul. Today we'll be talking about how to balance life in alignment with the current cosmic energies. And without further ado, I'll love to pass la taza to T for the transits of the week. Welcome, T, and everyone.
Thank you, Shay. Welcome, everyone. It's good to be here. And just when you said that, Shayla, about how to sort of like navigate your world according to the transits, I need that too. So hopefully I'll get some messages from this because there's so much going on right now. I'm thinking about, there's so much unrest, there's the wars, in different areas. There's just everything is just so tumultuous. And we're affected because we are the microcosms, right? We are the little universes walking around. So it's so important for us to know how to manage this. I'm glad that everyone is here and we can begin for this week. So the first thing I am going to talk about is the sun enters Scorpio on the 22nd of the month. So happy birthday, Scorpions. And all you Scorpion ascendings and Scorpio, wherever it is in your chart, Scorpio is there. And when I think about Scorpio, and the first question is, what transformation do you have up your sleeve? And I started thinking about the Transformer cartoon, right? So like you have this little car and and then suddenly it's like this massive different thing. It's like, oh my God, how did you morph? How did you become that? Like something that the naked eye you don't see as being able to change, right? Scorpio is a fixed sign, and yet Scorpion makes tremendous energy transformation. So that's what I was thinking about. And sometimes, we can be ill prepared for transformation. And even when we're talking about like what's going on in the world, like, wait a second, things are going on and I'm not even ready yet. But Scorpio can help with that. Scorpio lives its life usually quietly, does not want to be messed around with, does not usually mess around, and but they are aware of everything that's going on to a very, very deep level. That's what I think about Scorpio. You think about Scorpio as the scorpion, the eagle, and the phoenix, but then there are also other aspects of Scorpio that we don't really talk about so much, and that's the spider, and that's the lizard, the serpent, and the wolf. Scorpio is shamanic. Scorpio has shamanic energies. And, what does that mean to you? To me, that means like a healer is able to morph, is able to be magic and to bring that out into the universe. So welcome, Scorpios.
That's so beautiful. I love the shamanic energies that you bring in, the morphing of things, because this is how we can move forward in the world, right? In society, in our personal journeys, how to be able to kind of know when and where to do it, to move, to change. And I love the imagery of the Transformer, made me think of the movies. And with the sun going into Scorpio, there's a sense of I desire, the things that we desire. When the sun ingress out of Libra into Scorpio, we look a little bit back to what we were experiencing during the Libra season in our relationships. And now with Scorpio season at play, encourages us to be able to see our relationships, make it more concrete, make it more intimate. And furthermore, with this ingress, this is impact on the collective subconscious level, whether it's through dreams, whether it's through healing or therapy. There is a sense of this as the sun goes into Scorpio, relationships, intimacy, but also the subconscious mind, showing us our personal power and our own secrets and our own solitude in a way for us to heal. Natives born with a Scorpio sun, moon, or rising are very intense in a good way, intellectual, creative, and above all, sharp. So they have a sharpness to them, and they are here to represent power to all of us where we lack power. And this is not misuse of power. It's more about standing in your power, saying no, setting boundaries. And though Scorpio is a water sign, it's connected to the element of water, and it wants to flow, it's still a fixed sign. So there's this ability of emotions that come in when we see the sun going into Scorpio. So let's use this time to really speak our truth, be our truth, and be empowered.
Great. Thank you. So then we're going to talk about Mercury, because you're talking about speaking your truth, right? Mercury is entering Scorpio right then, right on the 22nd. So that, I think of profound communications that are from the soul, that are just so deep. And, these communications are psychically, energetically formed, or I'm not going to say form, but there is that connection, right? Because there is no disconnect. There's always a connection there. So the messages that we get, we'll feel them like the currents, just like water can do. There's the possibility of not wanting to share these messages, these thoughts, these insights, which is part of the secrecy that Scorpio is known to be. Or to have. So be aware of the message, the messenger, who's sending the message, how are you receiving it? Is it coming in, when you're showering? A lot of us, a lot of people will say, when I'm showering, I get all these messages in the shower, right? Then they hear everything. Or what's internal is like, I believe is like, released, it's like what is outside of us comes within, and then it's, released out there in the shower, or, when we do water meditations. Scorpio is very careful in what they say, because they can be very intense. They are very passionate. They're very sexual beings. And at the same time, so that could be coming from within, from themselves, but they're also very careful about what they're letting enter them, what messages, what other people's energies that they're allowing to come into them. You'll walk into a room and you'll know the Scorpio, because the Scorpio is the one that is just kind of standing there, observing, watching, waiting for someone else to say something, and then they will, like slowly come out and say the things that they need to say, that they think are appropriate in the moment. But they really do have this like huge power, when you think about it. You think about the scorpion sitting in the, whatever water environment, but then you think about all those other emanations of them, all those other manifestations of them. And although they're a fixed sign, again, that transformative quality about them, you never know what's going to come up next.
Yeah, it's like they know how to mold around things, and and that helps a lot in like mentally, and like being able to find solutions to problems and take steps. I think that's such an interesting point. With Mercury entering Scorpio, there's again a depthness of into life, thinking about life, not so much in the superficial. Conversations become less superficial between people in this transit. Because we want to become more investigative. We want to get to the bottom of the situation or things in our life. I've noticed with this particular placement of Mercury and Scorpio having a bad rap online, or people talking about it in a negative light, such as it being about ruminating about darkness and sex and things like that. And we want to get out of thinking about the negative part of this aspect, because I think this placement can really bring an aspect of truth to all of us. I've even seen people coin the word manipulation, trickster and things like that. We have to be very careful. I do want to bring that to light. However, I believe this position can bring great truth, mental sharpness, transformation to the forefront. So whatever it is that we need to, in the mind, transform, whether we need to be more real with ourselves, whether we need to be real with others and let others be real with us, we can bring that into our life and practice that. And I added a little bit of flavor to this transit, as there are a few celebrities with this placement, such as Drake, which he came out with his new album, Jennifer Lopez, which I was surprised about, and Christina Aguilera, just to mention a few pop stars from the 90s.
Yeah, it's interesting because you said from the 90s, right? And we're in 2023. And this is the staying power of Scorpio. That is the staying power. Like they can bring that intensity, that drive, and they can have it last. So that's really interesting. I'm glad that you brought those up. Thank you for that. So the next transits we're going to talk about all have to do with Sun and Libra. Sun and Libra is doing so much this week. So we're going to talk about them together and kind of give you the broader ideas of what these particular transits are. And I'm just going to name them. Sun in Libra squares Pluto in Capricorn. It conjuncts Mars in Libra. And it sextiles Venus in Virgo, and also trines Saturn in Pisces. So how do you put that all together, right? So, you think about Sun in Libra, you think about shining on you and your relationships, right? How am I dealing with other people? And what comes to me is, this light is shining on your relationships, maybe in your workplace, maybe someone's demoing your kitchen and things are just like not going the way they should be. Maybe the faucet gets messed up so that it has to be replaced, and yet they've just put it in. You've just paid for it, and then you have to, then you're like, what am I going to do? But the important thing is to be able to transcend that problem and to go forward anyway, even if you're having difficulty, which, when you think about, Mars in Libra could be bringing that warring type of energy to a relationship. But it's like, or it could be passion, right? So it's going to be passionate. It's going to be big. You don't want it to take away from the larger part of a relationship, like to have to sever a relationship, right? What are you going to do? You're going to try to work on it. And what does that mean? That means communication. So that, even if someone is having a hard time, or you think that they're having a hard time based on what you're saying to them, you can bring it to them diplomatically, which is a strength of Libra, diplomacy, or it can be a strength of Libra if you're, in the in those aspects of it. And everyone will be happier in the long run. They'll feel like they did a good job. You'll feel like you did a good job. You spoke your piece. You didn't wait for them to leave and then say, oh my God, look at what they did. Like they didn't take care of that faucet, and that's just an example. During this time, if you are the one that's feeling irritated, if you are the one that's feeling disgruntled, use that up energetically. Take yourself for a walk. Find the nearest park if you live in the city. Get a trail if you live in the in the suburbs, or in the in a more of a rural area. And let that energy dissipate in that sort of way. And I say, like, don't try not to take a walk on a busy street, if you know that someone might bump into you, and that is not going to be acceptable because you are feeling irritable. What you can do is, with Venus being in Virgo, is to, and also, Sun in Libra is also trining Saturn in Pisces. So this is like a good period of time to just look around you. What needs to be changed? What needs to be beautified? And I don't mean only like beauty in terms of putting a picture up on the wall, which could be very nice. If you've had your pictures in the corner of the room forever, and you just want to hang them up, do that. But this is, for me, like I think about, it's all about the nouns, right? People, places, and things. So like, what are the things that I relate to? What are the things that I relate to that could use a little bit of tuning up? So whether it's communication about a problem, whether it's something that just needs to be prettified, right? Maybe even buying flowers for your, to put on your kitchen table. It helps to make things easier, something to enjoy, for not only your kitchen looks nice, but you feel good inside yourself. So I guess basically what I'm saying is, try not to get caught up in the fray. Don't that's not going to help your nerves or anyone else's around you, right? If you feel restricted at this time, know that this too shall pass, which is something that I always say, but use that energy in a more of a conducive manner, in whatever it is that you're relating to. I know that sometimes like something will happen, like I'll need to pull something out of a drawer and I'll pull it because it's not coming out quickly enough. That's me and my relationship with that sweater, So it's like just kind of take a deep breath, and go a little bit more gently, and that'll help you, and that'll help your fellow human being that you're dealing with. So that's what I have.
I love that, the aspect of, we pull at things, and that resistance is for us to kind of step back and be like, hold on, I feel this resistance. It's okay. Be patient with it, and go with the flow of it. With all these busyness that the sun is going through, it asks of us, the sun is the ego, but I want to word it more into the collective for us, the sun collective, right? So there is a lot that is coming up in terms of power dynamics, action, but also there's the sweetness side of all the transits that are happening with the sun. And I know T had mentioned something that's really important, which is don't get caught up in the fray. Don't get caught up on it. This is better to be more patient, better to listen and observe with all the busyness that the sun is going through, rather than showcase ego, or maybe there's opinions that we have. Just taking a step back and really assessing, is that for the better good of the collective? Is that for the better good of me as an individual? And for us to consider that. We have some aspect here of light and dark with the transits of both of the sun. And I mentioned last episode about the sun really trying to have this connection with Mars, about bring it on, let's take action. But I want to remind everyone, it's great to take action, but we do it for the kindness and the better good of everyone, not just yourself. And it will help us to move and catapult forward. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is also on the foundation of what I'm saying now, has to do with what's happening in the world. So I want everyone to remember that we don't need to be fear-mongered. We don't need to be manipulated in that way. We can choose to step out of that and really look at every angle of who we are without needing to persecute others, without needing to bring anyone down. The sun does end with a beautiful connection as it trines Saturn. So Saturn here is pushing us to think more rational, think about the collective. If there's been an obstacle for us individually in our life or collectively, for us to have a break from it, to take a break from it, to choose to do it if we decide to, and most importantly, for us to remain patient. And I wrote here, stay woke, my fellow people, stay awake and listen and do your research, but do not live by fear, live by love and lightness. And especially we're in eclipse season, there's a war going on. It's better for us to see the linear pattern here through our communities, through our collective, and showing up for one another.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I just want to comment on that I remember one night I was walking in the park. I was walking in the park one evening, and they were doing a lot of demonstrations at the time. And they were doing like bicycle rides through the park so that, woke people could, let's wake up people, right? You talk about woke people. So I was walking, and someone who was riding a bike to wake people up, he came really close to me and he pushed me as he was riding his bike to wake people up. Like that's like totally unnecessary. It's like to push someone into it, especially a Taurian, but like don't, like fix signs. But making a joke about that, but it's like you can still bring the message. I thought it was a very powerful message with all of these bike riders meeting to come and to bring this forward, to people who are like in some form of being awoke, because they just weren't, we're all in some form of it, whether it's in the way you want it to be or not. I think that's the thing, is like how we term it in a certain way. And this is a very deep topic, and I this isn't where I'm going to go into that for myself, my own opinions on it, because I'm not ready to do that, and this isn't appropriate for it. But it was like, show yourself who you want to show yourself as, and not say, oh my God, like then, if I wasn't of that ilk, if I wasn't someone who who, feels positively toward demonstrators and so forth, I would have been like, wow, look at those people, look at what they're doing, and they're even pushing me, and it was like a purposeful thing because he came into my lane and then, came back out again. He probably, whatever he saw was incorrect, right? Whatever he saw was incorrect in me. But anyway, so that, I don't know, you just made me think of that. Like, how is it that I want to present myself in the world as I have awoken, as I want to bring this earth forward, as I want to have, equality and fairness to each person, on this earth, because we're all deserving of it. So thanks for bringing that up. That's really, really important.
Absolutely. And being woke, it's not like, oh, enlightenment, like we know it all. It's about how we are deciding and choosing to get informed. So for us to choose to live life in the information that we feel is helpful and beneficial, but not only for us, that can be good for the greater collective. I think we, it's not so much about the individual with these sun transits. I feel it's more about the larger world, and and just being more informed about decisions and think before acting. Be patient with it.
Perfect. And that goes right into our next set of transits, which include Mercury being in Libra. All right, so you're thinking of, Mercury, communication, intellect, quickness, sharpness. Libra in relationships, it's a cardinal sign. It will start things. And that squares Pluto in Capricorn, conjuncts Mars in Libra, and sextiles Venus in Virgo, which are, very, very, all very, very powerful. And, it's like, this is the energy that we have. And it's several ways in which you can decide how it is that you're going to use it, right? Know what it is that you truly believe and need to project out into the world. And it's important to say what you believe, that what needs to be said is said, but how can you do that? How can you do that diplomatically? And that's something that you just brought up like 5 seconds ago, as we're talking about, the other transits. So Mercury in Libra, I tend to think of as, it's of the air. It's going to be quick. It's going to be horizontal. It is going to share what it needs to share. But with it's squaring Pluto in Capricorn, and I guess I'll go into a little bit, because this is the only way that I can do this, is to know about the depth of that, right? Think about what you're buying into, what you want to sell. Are you getting obsessed in matters that aren't really conducive to or related to anything that you're really working with? And also, again, it's like going into depth. Like I was thinking the other day about people who pay for candles to be prepared for a spell, or for un trabajo or work that they want to be done, right? So it's like, yeah, like they on the phone, like, yeah, let's get that candle prepared because I want to get such and such done. So it's like, well, think about the depth of that. Think about what it is that you want to put into the world with that. What is it that you're learning from it? What is the depth of having someone else getting involved in whatever obsession that you have, that you need to do something like that? What does it mean karmically? What does it mean energetically? That's going to affect your energy field. That's going to affect the person's energy field. That's going to affect the person who's making it energy field. Like, it just reverberates, right? Pluto in Capricorn, it's reverberating. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to do that and then I can call it a day and my life is going to be easy. It reverberates, and it can reverberate throughout lifetimes. So think about that. Think about, what you're thinking and creating. It's all born, like birthed from the intellect, from the air. How is it manifested in the actions you take, which is something that you spoke about this, a minute ago. And, think about it in form of beauty, right? Like, you can write love poems to serving others, right? With love, right? Write some love poems. It can be beneficial to others and ultimately in you when you're pouring that on a piece of paper. That's something that's really, really beautiful. And also in terms of maybe writing isn't your thing, maybe it's cooking, right? So maybe you're gonna cook a meal and you're gonna serve it. Okay, that's reverberating. That's something that you're bringing forth. That's a creation that you're making, right? These are all intentional actions that we're taking. And maybe you're going to take down the plates that have been on the shelf forever, right? Because those are the good plates. But so what? This is a good night. This is a good evening. I love this person that I'm serving in front of me, so I'm going to use it for them, right? So it's like, how are you going to pour beauty and love into your manifestation? What has started out as a thought? What has started out as a thought? So my thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's very deep. I love that. Just like the example of how to serve better, like people through the act of thinking about what we're putting out there, the kind of the repercussions. We want to make sure that it's aligned to the better good of people and being able to like I could just picture like serving people with like the most beautiful plates, right? Serving people, and that's symbolic of being available, or maybe others available to us that do share those same plates, that share the same community, warmth, and comfort. In general, with all the mercurial transits, there is a breaking down, starting with the square, Mercury squaring Pluto. There's a breaking down of old structures. And when that structure breaks down, we are able to make decisions that are more clear, but it needs to break down. And I had mentioned to a lot of people during the week to ground the energies. And I feel this transit, this is when we need to ground our energies. And what I mean by that is to use mechanisms or ways that you personally can feel safe, comfortable, and can feel that you're rooted in where you are, in your community, or wherever you are physically, for us not to go in limbo, but to stay grounded here, because this is a energy, is a little like sparks in the air for us. So being able to ground this energy, and look at the plate. What do I have on it, right? That is nourishing me. And with all the other aspects, Mercury really wants us to look at conversations around healing and clear decision making and organizing ourselves in that way, because Mercury in Libra brings again the aspect of Lady Justice, being able to keep the scales even as best as we can, being able to be served through equality and justice. So for us to just keep this in mind, as well as Venusian energies, which is about finding that comfort within light and love, because that's what Venus wants. She's a benefic energy. So for us to use that as the part of the plate when we have conversations or commune with others this week.
So the next transit we're going to talk about is Mercury in Scorpio trines Saturn in Pisces. And this transit brings with it a deep, passionate communication that may not be so easy to do because of trust issues, or, to get across this ease about what's going on underneath, what's going on beneath the surface. So take care with that. Take care with your communication. Again, take your time. It doesn't need to be quick, flying off the handle. In terms of work, if you're engaging in any type of work thing, take time to check it again, make sure that it has in it what you want to have in it, whether it's typos or whatever that is, or if it's really getting your point across. Mercury in Scorpio is sharp, it's in depth, it's to the point. However, Saturn in Pisces may say, hold off, hold on, let's look at the mystical side of this. Let's see what's the beauty of this, basically. If we can let it gel just a little bit more, something different will be manifested. it's sort of like the poems that we were writing, that we were talking about before, right? So you write a poem, you submit it. I always think in terms of writing, right? And then, but you don't submit it, right? With Mercury trining Saturn, you wait, especially in Pisces. You wait until the beauty of the words come through. You wait until it's ready, right? You like some foods that you cook, you don't eat them right away as soon as they're, finished. It's like 45 minutes in the oven. You don't take it out and eat it. You let it sit a while. Just like the flavors when you cook, you keep leftovers always taste much better. Why? Because it needs time for the magic to take hold. And that's what I see in Saturn, with that trine in Mercury. So give time is the message that I have for this thing.
I'm loving the aspect of the poems being like sitting down with it and like processing. The flavor this transit also brings is focus. And I think that's what T also like being able to sit with it is being able to focus. We are in need of making some decisions, right? Are we having to make any decision at all? When we have this planetary movement, there is almost like a help to collectively organize, have a serious sit down or conversations, right? That can make things more concrete, make solidified agreements between whatever it is that we are deciding to do. Because it is the eclipse season, I will be mindful of that, making just quick decisions, take your time. This is not the time to just act. I feel this is a time to think and process, like T had mentioned. And thus, if we allow that to happen, changes can happen, and then it can change our trajectory, our landscape to whatever it is that we need to be and where we need to be.
Good point. Like we're not really talking about the eclipses, but we're sitting right in the middle of the eclipses,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Right in the middle.
it's both
solar
and lunar, and it's about beginnings, it's about endings, it's about change. What do you see in your existence that it may be time to go, maybe time to leave certain things so that other things can come in, right? We're always waiting for the next door to open, but maybe we have to open that door, whether it's to leave or to enter, because in death comes birth, right? You're rebirthed into a new manifestation of yourself. So I'm glad that you brought up the eclipses. So the last transit I'm going to talk about right now is Venus in Virgo trines Jupiter in Taurus. And this is a 22nd to the 24th. It's a beautiful transit. It can bring, love and beauty in terms of your home. What is it that is your home? What is your home, right? It could mean different things for different people. It could be the physical. It could be the home in your spiritual world. What is that home? Who are the people that inhabit your home? What are the pets? What is the furniture? I don't know. It's just like, this is your home. Venus is in there and is working hard, in her Virgo aspect. She's like, persevering, relentless in a positive sort of way in bringing things of beauty there. And you have Jupiter who's saying, yeah, let's all this happen. Let's, expand. Again, going along with the change. I know as a fixed sign, I tend to don't not want to make a change. But then when I make the change, it's like, oh yeah, this was good. This was beautiful. This is exactly what I needed, right? But sometimes, we're not ready for it, although we really are ready for it. So I think about it being favorable in terms of your home, as I said, whatever your home is, but also in, your financial home. It could be a positive aspect in your finances. And that could mean a lot of things for many people. It could mean, like you're getting your check this week, like that's what it could mean. But it could also mean that, financially, that there's something that is going to come to fruition that you've, put a lot of energy and time into, whether it's a maturing of a particular, I don't know, I'm going to say CD, although I don't even know that we use CDs anymore, but that's the word that comes to me. but know that it can be favorable. So look at the favorable is what I'm getting at, I guess, is look at something that is of the positive, of the glass half full, the glass not half empty, during this transit. And you may be surprised that all that you've not only gathered, but all that you've completed too, and that you're ready to go on to, the next phase of your development.
I love that, the positivity. This trans is like the cherry on the top of the cake, of our cake here. This is a really beautiful transit. It comes in with a little bit more light for us as we're going towards the end of the week. This is a great transit because Venus is in Virgo. There's a mercurial aspect of this. So there's a lot around like social networking, talking to others, meeting others, that is in our favor. Whether it's like we're trying to social network for work or trying to sell a home or whatever it is that we're trying to do, it's in our side. There's comfortable social conditions that come in for us. Generosity, being friendly, all these great, beautiful collective things that come in. It's like a big hug for everyone end of the week. So I think this is going to help us to stay also very clear and grounded and living from the heart and the soul.
I love that. I'm gonna wait for my hug, but I'll also give the hug, right? And the collective that you give and receive. Yeah, so good. So yes, so those are our transits for the week. Anything you want to add, Shay, about what you're doing?
Well, this upcoming Friday, October 20th, I will be again collaborating with Dr. Emily C. from Emily Grace Acupuncture. I will be offering mini tarot readings there. There will be free ear seed treatments and a plant sale. So I will be linking that up below in the description box. And I'm also going to be teaching Tarot 101 in Chinatown and online. And check out the information down below as well. Any events, T, that you're participating in?
Just to mention, my book will not be released on October 19th. There was a little bit of a fracas behind the scenes in terms of the press, in terms of the publishing itself. So I'm going to put that off probably, I don't know, I'll give you everyone the dates when it is ready. So, so that's something that on the back burner. Again, open for consultations, open for either astrological or spiritual consultations. I do tarot, as we all know, and also use my oracle and whatever else gifts God, has gifts that God, higher power, has given me. So so I'm open for those.
Beautiful. Yeah. And if anyone wants to check in with us, ask questions, request anything that you want us to even bring up in the conversations that we have here in Sabor Astrology, please email them to sabораstrology@gmail.com. Feel free to book us for spiritual consultations, astrological readings, tarot, and more. We're here.
So thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening in and joining us this week. We appreciate you always. And as Shayla just said, send questions, send thoughts. What would you like to hear? Any particular questions on any particular transits or just astro questions? Hopefully we'll be able to answer them for you. So again, share, subscribe, and thank you for coming. And we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Sabor Astrology with T and Shay. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.